Hello everybody and welcome back to Flying with Overkill F-16C Viper, and today we are going to be wrapping up the air-to-air radar or fire control radar tutorial. Okay, we're going to be talking about the range wall search and TWS as well as the CRM or combined radar mode. Now I'm going to sort of do an all hands on deck with this one, and I'm not going to break it down like I did with the Hornet video. If you need a better understanding of track wall scan, range wall search, and latent track wall scan, which is basically CRM, then I will leave the description or links in the description below to the three radar tutorials for the F-18C. Also, if you are still one of those people who understands that radar is used to track air-to-air targets and that's basically all you know about it, then I will also leave three links in the description below to an older F-15C tutorial for the radar that I did, and it goes into extreme depth of how radar functions and how it does what it does, and that is critical for you to understand, especially if you are someone who is constantly losing radar contact and don't know why. Okay, or you are unable to find a radar contact that should be at said distance and said altitude, and you can't find them and you can't figure out why. Please go down and watch those. Yes, they're a bit long. Yes, there's three of them, but I promise the benefit to you in every aircraft moving forward is going to be unmeasurable in the aspect of using the radar. You have to understand how it does what it does in order to properly manipulate the radar. Okay, it's very, very crucial for you to understand the how. Okay. All right, so for everybody else, let's go ahead and jump right after it and get started here. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom our camera in here on the fire control radar. And actually, before we do so, I'm going to throw us into air-to-air mode. And real quick, you can see here that we get a page that comes up on the, oops, sorry guys, on the right MFD here. Okay, and what it is it gives you the stores page, is essentially what this is. Now you can see we have 6 AMRAAM AIM-120Cs on board. You can see they're on stations 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, and 9. You can cycle through these by using your nose wheel steering button. A short tap on the nose wheel steering button will cycle the station that's currently selected. A long press on the nose wheel steering button will change the missile that's currently selected if you have more than one type. In our case, we only have the AIM-120C on board, so it's not going to work. But if we had multiple types of missiles on board, long press, nose wheel steering button will cycle through the different missiles. Slave mode, okay, you can see that we have slave, and if we were tap it again right now, the system's paused, so we have slave and bore mode. Okay, bore sight mode, what that's going to do is the missile's going to follow the bore sight line of the target, so it's going to basically fly directly at it. Okay, and slave mode is going to follow the radar line of sight. Okay. And then here you have air-to-air mode. Okay, so if we were to press this would put us into ACM or air combat mode. Okay, basically dogfight mode, put us in close range. All right, so that's our stores page set up. You can see that currently station 3 is selected on the AMRAAM. So now let's go ahead and move on over to the other side and start talking about the fire control radar itself. Okay, so coming into the fire control radar here for a second, let's go ahead and unpause. First, you can see that we have search targets coming up. Now, this is currently in range wall search. Okay, now remember, you can also cycle between range wall search and track wall scan with a TMS right long press. That's any depression that's longer than half a second. Make sure that you let go of the button in order to see the change. It will not change modes until you have let go of the button. Here we have our currently displayed range, our current azimuth at 60 degrees, and our current number of bars. Remember, bars is the vertical scan outside the window. Okay, so how high in the sky it will look. Okay, and you can see that if we cycle through the bars real quick, you can see that our current our total altitude scan range has changed based on what bars we're at. Okay, as well as the elevation scan indicator. Now, getting to the search targets that are up here. First off, those are a little hard to see, so a cool thing that we can do is we can mouse over them with our TDC here, and you can either use the button up the OSB right here where it's above norm and change it to expanded field, and you can see that we're able to sort of go into a zoom mode wherever the TDC is looking. Okay, and we also still want to change our azimuth here to make it a little bit easier to see these guys, and I think I'm going to go down even further to 10 degrees. All right, so that's one of the advantages here. Now I'm going to pause for just a second. These are called search targets, okay? There's essentially 4 different indicators that you can see on the radar. Now we're only going to see 3 of them, excuse me, when in a track or range wall search mode. Okay, so this is a search target, basically just indicating that a contact is out there, also known as a track file. Okay, a track file is just a fancy word for a radar contact. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we obviously want to lock one of these up. Now we're going to be pretty quick here, guys, because we're already inside 40 miles. They're about the 30-mile range, as we can see here. Remember, this is 40, 30, 20, 10, and right on the nose. Okay, so what I'm going to do here in order to bug a target, that's the first step. We're going to bug a target. And we're going to go ahead and TMS up once. All right, and you can see what we get here. So first off, this target is now bugged. We're not in single target track mode yet, but we have bugged the target. Now we're getting these other 3 indicators letting us know, because we're in CRM mode, the combined radar mode, so it can still sort of see things that are in the area as long as it stays within the azimuth sweep. But one thing that we have now lost the ability to do in range wall search is we can no longer move the TDC. So if I were to unpause it here, I'm moving my TDC switch around and it's not doing anything. It's not going to. Okay, up here at the top we have our current angle offset to the target, so you can see it's 20 degrees of angle offset. It's currently traveling on a heading of approximately 180 degrees at a speed of 330 knots with 752 knots closure rate. Okay, so remember, closure rate is the rate at which 2 contacts are either converging on each other or going apart. Okay, if this was a negative number, then he would be flying away from us. It's a positive number, he's coming at us. All right, and again, real quickly, so if you had 2 aircraft, if 2 aircraft going head to head and they're both doing 300 knots head on at each other, that would be a 600 knots closure rate. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and keep moving down here. You can see here is our current missile attack ranges. So here's the R max range. Here's the turn no escape. Okay, now remember, turn no escape is not 100% guaranteed. At the end of the day, it's up to whoever does the better of that pilot stuff. Okay. And then here is our minimum range, the minimum range in which the missile can be employed. Okay, we have our closure rate up here as well as it moves down the line, and we have the aircraft indicator here on the range bar for the missile. All right, unpausing for a second, or unlocking our camera. Let's go ahead and come up top for a minute. You can see the same information here. Here's our current closure rate to target. Here is the angle offset for the target for our aircraft. So you can see it's 20 degrees off our, or 22 degrees to our right is where our target currently is. Here's our range cue. This will obviously expand as we get closer and closer to the firing range. And then here is our steering cue. We want to put this little circle inside the big circle and be in range to fire the missile. Okay. And then again, we have our missile information down here. All right. So let's go ahead and unpause the sim for a second. And we're going to come out of active pause as well. And let's start steering towards our target. So you can see now we're at 10 degrees, 9 degrees. Okay, and there's our target cue. Now you can see that we're putting us inside of our steering cue here. And we're inside the turn no escape zone. So we're going to go ahead and Fox 3. Okay, now, what do we get up here? We have an A24. This is 24 seconds until the missile is active. Basically until the missile goes pitbull. Okay, you can now see we have an 830 knots closure. Let's go ahead and unpause. By the way, on the radar, we can come out of this expanded view. Let me reset our camera by hitting your field of view button as well on the HOTAS. You can go in and out of it by doing that as well. All right, so let's see what we got here. We're now 6 seconds to active. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and what do we have now? All right, now we have time till impact, approximately 13 seconds, okay? All right, and we can go ahead and follow our missile in with F6. Somebody did ask me in the previous video in the comments when we would start seeing stuff would get blown up. He used a different word. I just can't say it on YouTube. At least I'm not supposed to. Boom. All right. So there's splash 1. All right, so let's pause our sim again here. And let's come back down to the radar for just a second. So we're going to come back down here. Let me get my camera buttons again. All right, real quick, this cake on the screen here is our currently selected waypoint. Now, something I didn't go over and I should have, my apologies. You can sort of see here that we have a hollowed out square. That indicates a system track, okay? So the stages that we'll see here is we'll see search target, the indications that we're going to see here is first the search target. That was the ones I showed you guys here, the real little ones with the filled in squares and the heading tag on them. Okay, then we'll go into a track target when we're in TWS mode. It's the only time we're going to see a track target. And that's going to be a very large filled in square, again, with the heading tail on it. Okay, this is a system target, and system targets can be designated as a bugged target by placing our TDC over it like we did the first time, and we TDC'd once and we let the missile go. Okay, so it sort of fired the missile in an almost TWS mode. We were still able to see any of the other targets that were currently in that zone. Okay, if we had gone TMS up one more time, we would have gone into single target track and everything else on the radar scope would have disappeared for us. We wouldn't have been able to see it. Okay? Okay, and now this is a bugged target. A bugged target is the hollowed square, okay, with a circle around it. That's our indication of a bugged target. And then a single target track, I'll show you guys in just a minute. It will look the same, but everything else will disappear. So let's go ahead and unpause again. Make sure we're in the right screen here. And we can go TMS down to unlock a target. Let me do that. There we go. So TMS down will unlock a target. All right. Let's go ahead and get back into our different views here. So here we go. Got two new ones coming at us here. I'm going to go ahead and keep it on the 10 degrees azimuth. All right, so I'm going to bug one once, and you can see I've got them bugged. And now I'm going to tap it again, so TMS forward one more time. And we now gone into single target track. Now you can see that everything has stayed the same. None of his indication has changed, but everything else on the scope cleared off. Okay, we still have our steer point indicator. That doesn't go away, but all the other track files on the system do. Okay, and you can also see that this guy's already in turn no escape. So let's go ahead and unpause here. Let's unlock our camera. Let's zoom out a little bit. And real quick, you can see if I do a nose wheel steering tap, I can change the missile selected. Okay, and we'll go ahead and Fox 3 with the weapons release button. Okay, missiles away. 30 seconds until the missile goes active or pitbull. We can see our closure rate. And we can also see our range to target. Forgot to mention that earlier, forgive me. And just like any of the other aircraft, we can steer off as long as we keep him within inside our radar gimbal limits. Okay. Three seconds. Missile's active. Now we can actually turn and run. Okay, we no longer need to maintain track of the target. We got 4 seconds till impact. 3, 2, 1. Wonder if that missile missed. Let's find out. Yep, the missile went dead. Looks like our target evaded. That happens sometimes. All right. So let's go ahead and move on a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what TWS mode looks like, and then we'll wrap up for today. And in the next one, we'll take a look at all the air combat modes, so basically the dogfight modes. All right? So let me reset real quick, and we'll be right back. All right, so we're back in the seat. Let's go ahead and talk about TWS. We've gone back into air-to-air mode. Oh, no, we haven't. Now we have. Back into air-to-air mode. We can see we have Station 3 selected. We're still on the slave, so it's going to follow the radar track. let's go ahead and come on over here and take a peek at our radar. There we go. All right, so again, as usual, we have two different ways to select TWS mode. We can either tap the OSB or do a TMS right long, so holding it for more than half a second. So pressing, holding, letting go. There we go, we're in TWS mode. Now I'm also going to show you guys that the quick access to changing the azimuth as well as the range are disabled while in TWS. So in range while search, remember, we can simply move our TDC up and down to change the display range, right and left to change the azimuth. Okay, in TWS mode, that is disabled. All right, now let's go ahead and come up here. We can still use our expanded field of view. Let's go ahead and change our azimuth to 30 degrees. And actually, let's go down 10 degrees. Let's make sure we keep lock on these guys. And now we're going to use our expanded mode. We're using our field of view button. Okay, and let's go ahead and pause and take a look at what we see here now. So as I was telling you guys before, that in TWS mode we have 4 different identifiers. So first identifier is going to be the very small filled in squares with the heading tail on. That is a search target, just like we saw in range while search previously. And then after the radar has successfully made 2 sweeps over a contact or a track file, it will then turn it into a track target. Okay, which is a larger filled in square, again with the heading tail on it as well as the altitude indicated. Okay, so we can see that they're at 10,000 feet. Okay, then from here it's about making them into a system target, and a way to think about a system target is prioritizing. Now you can do this by one of 2 ways. We can take our TDC and slew it directly over any of these contacts, press TMS up short, and it will turn it into a system target. And what it will look like is a hollowed square inside the bigger square. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys what this looks like in a minute. And a second way to do it is if we go TMS right, then all contacts that are currently be displayed for a total of 10 that the display scope can actually show us will be made system targets. Now the advantage of a system target, and the reason why we want to do that, is because it will then prioritize those targets when bugging them or preparing them for missile attack. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to take my TDC, put it over this lead target, TMS up. Oh, there we go. And then let's go to this third one, and TMS up. Okay, now these are now system targets. So you can see these 2 are system targets. These 2 are still track targets. Now, if I go TMS right short, I'm going to bug one of them. So TMS right short, and you can see that it's now bugged. While bugged, you can see the circle around it. We now get our missile range information. You can see that he's approaching turn no escape, 840 knots closure, and the circle indicating obviously our primary selected target. Okay, if I unpause and press, oops, sorry, let's try that again. What's going on here? Oh, I know what I did. Sorry, guys. Okay, if I unpause and hit TMS right again, you can see it only cycles between those 2 that are prioritized as system targets. Okay, so this is a nice way to bug multiple targets. And this is how we could do a TWS launch. Okay, so we can launch on multiple independent targets at any given time, up to 4, I believe, by cycling through the different system targets. So this is the advantage of picking which targets you want to be system targets versus having them all be system targets. Because if I do this, so to reset everything, we're going to go TMS down. That unbugs it. TMS down again, it makes them all track file. Now TMS right, and it makes them all system targets. And then if we go TMS right again, now we will cycle through all 4 indicators. But here's the check to this, okay, is if we come out of expanded mode, and our problem is we can't see them yet, but there are multiple contacts that are actually up in this zone, and actually probably out this way by now, that are also system targets. Okay, so that's the disadvantage of doing that. And so where you want to be thinking about doing this is a situation here. Give you an example, is if you have friendly targets out, maybe you have enemy helicopters, maybe you have an enemy AWACS, and you have an enemy group of fighters. Obviously the fighters are going to be your priority, so you would only want to make them system targets. Okay, so again, we can reset by simply going TMS down again. We can go back into our expanded field of view here. There we go, there they are. And let's go ahead and see what this looks like again. So I'm going to go TMS up one more time. Oh, come on. There we go. Got to get right over it. And let's do this guy here. And then now we're going to bug one with TMS right. Okay. Come out of our expanded field of view. Let's unlock the camera. Let's zoom ourselves out. Let's go ahead and steer our aircraft over. We're going to put our little circle inside the big circle. And we're going to Fox 3. So there's one missile away. And then now we're going to come here and we're going to TMS right again. So now we've selected our other target. And Fox 3 again. And so 2 missiles away. Okay, and so now if we go into F6, we can watch our missiles. There's splash 1. And there's splash 2. Okay, now you can also still go into, okay, well there you go right there. So as you can see, this guy is a search target. It is not a track target. It is a search target. So that means that the radar has not completed 2 or more sweeps over this target. So let's go ahead and unpause, see if we can get him back as a track target. All right, looks like we lost him because of his gimbal there. So that's okay. Let's go ahead and back out. And let me show you guys just the acquisition portion again. We should be able to pick up a couple more aircraft. I'm going to go into range while search for a minute. Expand our field of view. There we go. All right, so you can see these guys out here are already system targets. We don't want that, so we're going to hit down. And let's pause it. Let's zoom in. Lock our camera up. So you can see that they're currently as search targets. So I'm going to unpause, get us back into TWS mode. And now they've gone into track files. But let me show, or track targets. But let's do this. Let's change the azimuth down. Let's move them off. Okay, there we go. So let's bring it back over here. Oh, it picked them up immediately. So you saw the second one change pretty quickly. And it's because it's going so rapid. So actually, let's do this. Let me lose them again. I'll show you guys. I know what I did wrong. Come on, guys. Drop off. There we go. Let's change our azimuth. And you can see that one. Pause. There we go. So this one went to a track target very quickly. But you can see this guy right here is still a search target. Now watch what happens when I unpause and the azimuth completes the sweep over it again. Wait for it one more time. Come on. There it goes. All right, so it was able to complete 2 sweeps over that search target and therefore identified it as a track target. All right, guys, so that is the basics of using track while search. Now, you can still go into single target track, so we can bug this guy. Okay, he's now a system target. We can go TMS right to bug him. And we go TMS right again, or excuse me, TMS up. Sorry, not TMS right, TMS up on a bugged target. We are now into single target track. Okay, and we can Fox 3 long, missile away. Kind of like that the aircraft jolts when it doesn't let you know that it fired. Let's go ahead and pull it out, unzoom here, and let's go into an F6. Let's see if we hit anything. We're pretty far out. Oh, yeah, we're going to get him. Definitely going to get him. Surprise! All right, and there's splash 3. So again, there's all the ins and out to using TWS mode. It's actually really easy once you understand what you're looking at and how the functionality works. So if you guys have any questions, by all means, please let me know in the comments below. Just remember, TMS down will always undo what you've done, whether you've bugged a target, whether you've made track files as system targets and you don't want them to be, or track targets and you don't want, or no, track files, sorry. System targets that you don't want to be system targets, you want to be track targets. TMS down will remove that. It'll remove bug targets. It'll remove single target track. TMS down, always undo what you just did. TMS right with nothing else selected, with nothing else bugged, will make everything that's currently on the display scope a system target. TMS up with nothing else as a system target will make whatever you have your TDC over a system target. Okay, TMS up again puts you into single target track. TMS right when a target is bugged and you have multiple system targets, okay, will allow you to cycle between them. All right. I know that was a lot of information, but it's like I said, it's really not that hard. It's not as much as you think it is. So just don't overthink it and just learn the symbology of what you're looking for. Range ball search as basic can be. You see the search target, you put your TDC over it, you TMS up once to bug it, TMS up again, single target track, you're ready to go off and blow things to heck. All right. Anyway, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Leave any questions, comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell for notification of future content. And I will see you all in the next one. Talk to you soon.